On the steps of Westminster Cathedral, it looked like the Duchess of York was being readmitted to the ranks, as just over a week ago and alongside her ex-husband, she attended the Duchess of Kent's funeral. But any pathway back to respectability has been quickly closed. A series of charities ending their association with her after the emergence of emails she wrote to Jeffrey Epstein, in which she called the late sex offender her supreme friend, humbly apologising for ever linking him to paedophilia.
I think this is the final, shall we say, nail in her coffin in terms of her career exploiting a position in the royal family and her career as a patron of various children's charities. I can't see how she can continue to do those jobs given what she says about Jeffrey Epstein, and I can't see how the royal family can continue to invite her to Sandringham.
It was back in 2008 that Epstein was first convicted for soliciting prostitution from an under 18-year-old. He was released from jail a year later, and in March of 2011, Sarah Ferguson claimed she'd ended their association, telling the Evening Standard she'd have nothing ever to do with Jeffrey Epstein ever again. But it's now emerged that just weeks after that, on April the 26th, she sent him a gushing apology from her private email account, calling him a steadfast, generous and supreme friend. And while the Duchess's spokesperson has suggested she was simply trying to prevent the man who'd loaned her thousands of pounds suing her for defamation, the difference between what she said and what she did has proved too much for the charities she worked with. Amongst their responses, Julia's House has taken the decision that it would be inappropriate for her to continue as a patron of the charity. The Duchess of York is no longer a patron of Prevent Breast Cancer, and we have taken the decision that it would be inappropriate for her to continue to be associated with the charity. All of them thanking the Duchess, who has twice been diagnosed with cancer, for her service. But 6 years after Epstein died in a prison cell, his spectre still looms large, costing the Duke of York his royal titles and just this month Peter Mandelson his job, a lingering shadow haunting royal and political circles on both sides of the Atlantic. Rachel Younger, ITV News.
Our correspondent Neil Connery is outside Buckingham Palace. And Neil, will today's developments, do you think, mean that the Yorks are going to be further ostracised from the royal family?
Well, Mary, these are clearly headlines that the royal family will not want to be reading this evening following that disastrous Newsnight interview and criticisms over his association with Jeffrey Epstein. Of course, the Duke of York stood down from royal duties. He's always denied the claims against him and, of course, reached that out-of-court settlement. The Duke and Duchess of York continue to live at Royal Lodge on the Windsor estate. Andrew has maintained he has a cast-iron lease on Royal Lodge. Now, the King has already cut Andrew's allowance and security to try and turn the screw, if you like, and make things harder. Of course, neither the Duke or the Duchess of York are working royals, and I think Prince Andrew's absence from President Trump's state visit last week was a clear reminder of that. I think it's likely that more organisations and charities are going to cut their ties with the Duchess of York following these reports which have emerged. What that does is increase the focus on the Duke and the Duchess, and I think it opens the question as to whether the King may decide that further action could be required here.